Dear esteemed Master Engineer, congratulations for making this far. The situation has been deteriorating as we speak. There's an arms race between us and the raids. The guided missile has just been put into common use in interstellar warfare, and casualties are mounting as we are on the losing end. All designs have been received and tested. You are one of 10 robo-engineers and their bots shortlisted for the final decision on the nature and production of Project Sun Wukong. 20 bots in all has been tried and tested. Before we move on to the results, allow me to summarize the DFS-MTUA bot performance evaluation system so that there may be no confusions. This is an example of a result slate for the evaluation system. Do note that there are several categories of judgment for your bot. We have durability, which measures your bot's ability to absorb or to avoid damage altogether. There is no point in holding what you cannot keep. But then there is firepower, which measures your bot's ability to give out damage, to destroy other bots as quick as possible. You could just take and take and take if you have a lot of firepower. And next we have raw speed, basically, which measures how fast your bot can travel from point A to point B. There's no point in having so much firepower and armor if you cannot be at the battlefield. And next, there's maneuverability, which measures your bot's ability to negotiate tough terrain and sharp corners, how nimble your bot is. Because there's no point in bringing a sports car to Mount Everest, am I right? And next, there is tactics, which measures your bot's ability to execute complex tasks and to perform different functions. How well your bot is able to perform its designated function. There's no point to having a bot without purpose. And next, there's usability. How easy your bot is to handle for both the common soldier and the elites alike. Because a gun is better than a bow, simply because it is usable. And lastly, there's aesthetics. How good your bot looks. Because a morale boost is always needed. All this will be factored into an average, which is the overall, which is basically the average of all your statistics. This is a general indicator of how good your bot is and how far it can go in a battle. Do take note that there will be certain penalties applied to certain bots because some of the parameters have been breached for Project Sun Wukong. But that has been covered in a previous video. So if you have any doubts about that, do consult that video. Now, without wasting any more time, let's move on to the results. Disqualified bots. The Nexus 3 boost by Amy Mox is the sole disqualified bot of the entire stock. The reason why this bot is disqualified isn't because it is bad or because the creator crossed me. It's simply because it wasn't available in the CRF, and therefore it violates the most basic rules of the competition. Therefore it's disqualified. And since it's disqualified, it hasn't been rated. And now we move on to the 20th place, which is the last position. We have Amy Mox's Provocator 4. It is basically a combination of a Tesla rammer and a sniper. Unfortunately, the design has many problems. It is ultimately a very confused bot, being unable to use its Tesla blades at far range and its railguns at close range. This is not to mention the fact that the Provocator 4 is but one iteration of the many Tesla sniper hybrids found on the battlefield. Moreover, its use of the rotor and the hover blades makes it more of an air unit, a flyer, rather than the ground unit that we need. The pros of the Provocator 4 is that it is quite fast and it is maneuverable. It can go up in the sky, it can climb up hills, it can go down hills. But unfortunately, cons is that it doesn't have much of anything else. Its firepower remain way below potential because it must either snipe or go at close range, and either way it can't bring the full force of its firepower to bear on the enemy. This is notwithstanding the fact that it violated the many objectives of Project Sun Wukong. Moving on to the 90th place, we have another of Amy Mox's bot, the maxflex. What we have here is another bot in gross violation of Project Sun Wukong's objective, but at its own merits, it is a barely flight capable copter that tends to miss half its marks even in the most capable hands due to the positioning of its flag to raise. It is too easy to cripple and only good as a final last ditch defense bot. As you can see from the result slip of the maxflex, its main weakness would be its firepower due to the positioning of its flag to ray, with half its shards missing at the best of times. Otherwise, its relatively robust design is owed to its flag to ray and somewhat sensible hull. Otherwise, it is easy to cripple, which results in poor ratings for most of its categories. Its results is further hampered by its violation of the rules of the Project Sun Wukong. Qualifying for the 18th position is Nadrax's Skyplace, a well-armored sniper cruiser with a huge number of railguns attached to match. It does as it is built to do, but that alone is not a recipe for battlefield domination. While it can hold its own and control the territory it is assigned to for a time, there are many flaws in its design that prevents it from truly shining, such as how some of its weapons could be shut off easily. It drives poorly and is rather limited tactically. This means that it can be used as a tank of sorts, delivering a huge amount of damage within a short span of time at short notice. It can be used by the common soldier, the rank and file, to do as they do best, taking a lot of damage and delivering a ton of damage in the short run. This bot did not climb any higher because, again, it did not meet some of the objectives of Project Sun Wukong. It is done too many times to count, and it is not embellished with the festivities colors nor the theme, which would be bad for the man's morale. Number 17, we have Quasar 1 something's Hercules 6. It is a well-armored and well-armed cruiser that is able to travel to a crisis zone with good speed. However, it drifts too easily, which is not good at high speeds. It is tactically simple due to this major flaw. All a soldier should expect from this bot is for it to travel quickly to where is needed and to take over control of the area. While the Hercules gets the job done and only that, I like to compliment the design of the wheel skirt, which is quite unique in its own right, having such a low ground clearance, providing overall protection which is pretty much nearly perfect. Otherwise, this bot cannot stand on its own and is best used to complement better bots, or rather the MVP bots. And now on the 16th place, Nadrax's Colossus occupies the position. Unusual but not unheard of, the Colossus takes advantage of the Maglec's powerful fortitude. but it neglects everything else. It is good in medium to long range engagement, when the enemy cannot target its obvious weaknesses between the legs. While it has the element of surprise in its design, its defensive ability is so brittle that it could shatter when the weak spots are hit, and it is too slow to make a major impact in most battles. However, having SMGs mounted on mag legs, and being spaced so far apart, and being no less numerous, makes the Colossus extremely powerful in terms of weapons. It is able to fire broadside, an endless volley of laser or subatomic particles that it could quickly destroy the enemy, which is the main draw of this bot. Next, on the 15th position, is Estar 606 Torpedo Ray, a truly fresh and new bot, quite unlike anything that is built. However, it is an unpolished concept that requires refining. While it possesses almost optimal speed, firepower, and does not explode immediately upon being shot at, the torpedo ray is notoriously hard to control for the test pilots who brave it, and as such, suffers a huge risk of losing control in the heat of battle at best and being immobilized at worst. However, not all is lost. In the hands of a good pilot, this thing could excel. All the pilot needs to know is when to stop, and it could carry the match. However, my recommendation is for this concept to be developed further. Otherwise, the current model should be put up on display as a form of morale booster. The men will appreciate it. Occupying the 14th place is Tangeman 5150 Skippin, a heavy mech bot equipped with a single flag to ray. This presents obvious problems. Due to its slow speed and highly specialized weaponry, only the best can excel in the Gibbon as long as they position it perfectly. Otherwise, its superior ability to absorb a huge amount of damage should prove to be its final saving grace, to allow it to wait until its comrades come to save it. Number 13. Growing its goods, Devilfish, a cruiser utilizing the latest technology in interstellar warfare, the missile launcher. It complements its already destructive weapon with a Tesla blade system that could seriously damage or destroy any bot that gets too close. This is a great tactic, but the execution of the bot leaves more to be desired. For example, its electroplates are positioned poorly, which is quite off the center, and most bots tend to aim at the center of any target that they pursue. So obviously this means that there's a hit to the durability of this bot. Otherwise, there's no redundancy in its missile launcher system, and its Tesla blades are positioned poorly, namely the ones at the side. Otherwise, this is a fairly average bot, and it only shines in terms of tactics, in which it is able to perform at any range. Securing the position of number 12 is Tangeman 5150's Macaque, a bot whose novelty comes from its ability to enter combat as either mech infantry or hover gunship. It combines overwhelming firepower with hard to overwhelm armor. However, as either hover or mech, it is slow, and there are certain questionable design decisions behind the bot. One of the main issues with the design is that as a hovercraft, some of its CPU is wasted, and it is not at its fullest potential as a hovercraft. Therefore, I rated it as a mech, and as a mech its speed is even slower. But other than that, the rotor shields at the side does not work well for me, as they aren't exactly very efficient, even if they heal very fast. And lastly, it does not have a full complement of plasma turrets, which limits its firepower, and one of its plasma turrets is located at the bottom of the chassis, which means even less firepower against high-flying opponents. Next, on the 11th place is yet another of Amy Mox's entry, the Nova Medic, an otherwise mundane bot, the type of which has been used countless times on the battlefield. It is no less effective, though the design of the Nova Medic is not sufficiently optimized. The main source of its efficiency comes from the positioning of the nanoguns near the Tesla blades, which means that it cannot heal to the fullest potential. Misfirings happen all too often. And finally, opening the top 10 for us is the Baboon by Tangeman 5150. Following the style of his previous bot, the Macaque, the Baboon's novelty comes from its convertible nature. It claims to be able to switch from SMG to Plasma and mag legs to a hover thruster system, but either way the Baboon is less than satisfactory as it is underarmed with either weapons, and switching to the hover thruster system wastes CPU. To have a convertible bot is not a bad thing, it is a strength. However, its strength does not lie in the battlefield. While a convertible bot is good for economic purposes or to save energy, it does nothing for the battlefield as you can only ever bring one iteration of the bot at any one time. In light of this realization, I've decided to rate this bot as predictable, because whether in its hover mode or in its mag infantry mode, it is still a common sight, because you can't see the bot change in the battlefield itself. Regardless, it is a solid design, having made into the top 10. Ninth in line is another of Natrek's creation, the Jackal, a minimalistic bot made almost entirely out of electroplates, thrusters, hovers and weapons. The core of its designs are the thrusters that enable it to flip and fire all its weapons without obstruction. However, this is at the cost of elevation control. While the Jackal may have appeared to have done badly, this is not so. If it isn't for its innovation in its scale-based electroplate armor, it would have received a much lower durability rating, and it would have gone up in flames within a few shots. As it is, this bot is sufficiently powerful, enough to be used in most combat scenarios. However, it requires practice, therefore it is a weaker stat in usability. The the thrusters that allows it to fire all of its turrets is way too powerful. That is its main weakness, and in blind panic it could result in a loss. Lucky number 8 is the Phoenician's Wandon Boot. While its legs may suggest a slow speed, this is deceptive to its advantage, as it is designed to skid on the ground at fast speeds, with an appreciable amount of control. It makes use of the newly dropped missile launcher to great effect, which means it can position itself relatively quickly for a strategic advantage in shooting down ground bots and flyers alike. Its flaw is in its legs however, which are shut off with relative ease, and with its singular missile launcher or flag cannon that when taken away will render the bot helpless. The hull is no stronger as it will give way far too easily. However, surprise will prove to be its trump card, as would be its beautiful and ornate hull paint. Down to number 7 is Putra's Red Dragon, representing a long tradition of hovercrafts as it is well built and deadly. Its only flaw is its slow speed as an unmodified hover, making it straightforward in its tactical worth. While decorated for the festivities, it is a very common concept of bots. Its results here proves that this bot is not to be trifled with, being outranked only by the best, with its only weakness being its speed, which altogether on its own is not exactly that slow compared to the Mac legs or even the tracks. Just behind the top 5 is the PMLS-1B Sulu Cone at number 6, a bot built as a benchmark to serve as a reminder to all master robo engineers what is expected of Project Sun Wukong. It is a ground bot, that goes without saying, and it is effective due to its heavy armor and weapons, as well as its ability to attack and defend from unexpected angles. Moreover, while it uses a hybrid leg system, which is rare enough, it is also a land ship at that, making it a fresh idea. While the PMLS-1B Sun Wukong is nearly an all-star all-rounder bot, its nearly abysmal speed is what pulled it down, ensuring that it will never be the best. And now we've come to the top 5 Hall of Fame of bots. The bots that are the best of the best. And to start us off, in the 5th place is the Phoenician's Taming of the Red Lions, one of the Phoenician's trinity of skidding walker bots. It has won its 5th place by being able to carry such heavy armor and weaponry at fast speeds to some of the least expected angles, in such a way that even veterans would be caught off guard. As can be seen from its test results, it is an all-rounder bot, as most of the best bots are, with only a possibility of a weakness in terms of speed, and even then, it is relative, as it will certainly beat tanks and regular harbors and cruisers in a race. Now, just shy of the esteemed 3rd place in Project Sun Wukong, stands Ratback 46 Fire Monkey's Paw, a deadly weapon in its own right, armed with more than 6 plasma to raise, armored with a shell, built with all the best techniques and technologies known to robo-engineers, and a trusted assisted cruiser system that could reach wheeled terminal speeds very quickly within a few overclock levels. Shaking the Fire Monkey's paw would grant any average pilots dominance over most bots, and any veteran pilots a legend to his name on the battlefield. Its sole weakness are high velocity drones piloted by the best of the best, and only so because of the limitations of its chosen weapon, not its design. The Fire Monkey's paw's sole weakness can be considered the strength of mini bots. While it can't take the same amount of beating as a land ship, nor is it expected to, its Triforce with arrow rod using hull has awesome damage control abilities that ensures that it could take far more damage than other bots of its size, just like the Sun Wukong of the Journey of the West. And here we are, finally. We have reached the domain of the best, where only the most well-planned, optimized, and built bots can only make it to, even through the wreckage of 1,000 other lesser bots. While by no means invincible even in the hands of the best, the robo-engineers responsible for these bots have done what few could do, balancing high performance with the demanding objectives of Project Sun Wukong. While there may be a material reward for each of these trinity of Grandmaster engineers, there is an even greater reward for them transcending the physical realm, their immaterial instincts, skill and knowledge. The list of the Grandmaster World bots at number 3 is the Phoenician's Off-Road Warrior. The best of the Phoenician skidding walker bot trinity, the Off-Road Warrior is a versatile combination of the SMG's all-purpose Hail of Death, good armor, and his multi-function propulsion system. It can function well as a recon bot, a tank, a fast response bot, a support bot, and anti-air bot. Nearly anything that can be done in Robocraft, this bot can do. Yes, just the right number of legs, just the right number of SMGs, a proper suite of electronic warfare equipment, a thruster system well suited for skidding, it has proper armor, good armor, and it all paid off handsomely. Being a Grandmaster workbot, to ponder on the off-road warrior's weakness is a wasted effort. One could only understand its nature, what its inclinations are. Based on its performance and build, it can be said that the bot favors tactical flexibility and demands just as much from its player. A fool will never excel in the off-road warrior. Even if the off-road warrior could carry the fool to victory. And now, the second best of the Grandmaster work bots is Cytwig's Project Jade Rabbit. If the phrase new concept has a definition in the shape of a bot, it would resemble the Jade Rabbit, an amalgamation of the flyer killer that is the smoke belching flake terrain, the peerless melee tank destroyer Tesla Blades, and the deceptively strong armor of the complex construct. The Jade Rabbit clears the sky with frightening ease, and will chastise what ground units that dare to underestimate it. Its propulsion system is a combination of well-placed wheels, skids and thrusters, giving it control and speed in equal measure. While its one weakness may be its speed, this is more than made up for by its all-encompassing tactical worth. Moreover, the way it approached the Lunar New Year festivities is done so in an unconventional way, portraying the Chinese spirit as never before. Its aura is strongly felt and absolute. Just the mere sight of the Jade Rabbit will inspire any player to victory if its highly functional design isn't already enough. And lastly, we have come to the Grandmaster work of Grandmaster works, the last word in Project Sun Wukong, a bot worth its weight in plutonium, Redback 46 Twister. Despite being unable to meet one of the objectives of the project, the Twister is still able to come out on top through the mere weight of its unmatched performance in every aspect of bot warfare. It possesses fast speed with perfect control, deadly firepower and the armor to carry it through to the logical end. It can climb hills, cliffs and drop from them without consequence. It is a wonder to behold. Everything is done excellently with this bot, except for a minor chink in its literal armor. The fact that it ran out of CPU to mount even more fully optimized armor. However, its numerous strength ensures that this is nothing. Its choice of weapon lends the bot consistent performance in every combat scenario, and its clockwork wheel thruster rudder propulsion system gives it mastery over every form of terrain. This bot is as close to perfection as a bot can get. The tide of war will turn against the raids, with a few of these deployed. We have come to the end of the Project Sun Wukong debriefing. Work will begin immediately to deploy the Twister, Jade Rabbit, and Off-Road Warrior into the critical points of the front line. The raids will regret pushing us into activating Project Sun Wukong. Robot engineers Ratback 46, Cytwix, and the Phoenician reply to this channel to claim your Jazz rewards. Dismissed.